So Berwyn, from our conversation a few moments ago, one of the things I'm curious about is how people from different countries and cultures might approach the practice of workplace safety or safe workplaces, be it in manufacturing, be it in mining, or any other kind of context. So again, if we can maybe make some comparisons between how Australians will typically approach workplace safety and how countries, for example, like I don't know, Mongolia, Vietnam, and perhaps even India, how they might, or perhaps even the Middle East, countries such as Egypt or the United Arab Emirates, how those countries might approach workplace safety practices.
Again, in those latter countries, the key thing is how important workplace safety is to the management and how rigorously it's enforced.
Yes.
The problem in Australia is that people may not always do what they're supposed to do. We have a culture of autonomy.
Yes.
Yes, there's some rules, there's a safety manual, but she'll be right, mate.
And indeed, there's even law and penalty at law.
Few penalties actually on the worker in
Yes.
Australia. Most of the penalties are on the big bad corporation.
Yes.
So very few penalties on the worker. Quite a well-established welfare state, workman's compensation. So actually, if something goes wrong, unless you're killed
Yes.
or maimed, the amount you suffer is fairly limited. But because of the autonomy that people take for granted, people feel that they're empowered to disobey rules if they think the rules are stupid. And sometimes that can have very unfortunate consequences.
So frequently there's a workaround. There's an established work practice. It doesn't seem right, doesn't fit with my sense of what needs to be done in the moment, and I do a workaround, and it may be unsafe.
Absolutely, and that often works. So the challenge for companies in countries like Australia is to instill a strong culture that's going to get it right nearly all the time, and to get engagement from people to accept that this is what needs to be done. In Asia, it's quite different. As long as you have a manual, you give clear instructions, you inspect and you follow up, you will generally have a very high standard of safety performance. A few years ago, I was at an oil industry safety conference in Perth. They put up an international league table, and the Australians were staggered to find that they were at the bottom.
Wow.
And areas like West Africa and Indonesia were considerably ahead of them. America and Europe were ahead of them as well, but not by that much.
Right.
So this really does show these more individualistic societies generally have more of a problem in safety if the company has a policy throughout the world of enforcing that safety rigorously. It's much easier for these oil companies, who tend to have good manuals, good structures and engaged management, to push through a safety culture in what we call the third world than it is in our own home countries.
Yes. Okay. Very helpful. Thank you.